Hare Krishna, everyone.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, प्रणाम माता जी।
हरे कृष्णा माता जी, प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण माता प्रणाम।
Dhanva Pranam, Hare Krishna. Um, Hare
प्रणाम।
Krishna. So we're gonna do a couple of verses today because there's no purport. So I'm gonna zoom through. We're gonna do till verse 18. Okay, so you all can recite verse 18 if you want to. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jyaudirayet Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Reading from Shrimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, chapter 11, verse 6. So I'm going to zoom through them and then you're going to read verse 18. Evam suraganan krodho vishayan vapusha ripun vyanadat sumaha prano yena loka vichetasaha. Translation. Sukdev Goswami said, Vritasura, the angry and most powerful hero, terrified the demigods with his stout and strongly built body. When he roared with a resounding voice, nearly all living entities fainted. Ten deva gana sarve vrita vishvo taneन vai nipetur murchita bhumau yatheva shanina hataha. When all the demigods heard Vritasura's tumultuous roar, which resembled that of a lion, they fainted and fell to the ground as if struck by thunderbolts. Mamarda Padyabhayam Surashainyam Aturam Nimilitakshanam Rana Rangadurmadaha Gam Kampayan Udyata Shula Ojasa Nalam Vanam Yuthapatir Yathon Madaha. As the demigods closed their eyes in fear, Vritsasura, taking up his trident and making the earth tremble with his great strength, trampled the demigods beneath his feet on the battlefield, the way a mad elephant tramples hollow bamboos in the forest. विलोक्यातं वज्रधरो अत्यामृष्टः श्वासशत्रुवते अभिद्रवते महागणां चिक्षेपाताम् अपततिं सुदूषहां जाग्रहा वामेन करेण लीलया. Seeing Vritasura's disposition, Indra, the king of heaven, became intolerant and threw at him one of his great clubs, which are extremely difficult to counteract. However, as the club flew toward him, Vritasura easily caught it with his left hand. Sa Indra Shatru Kupito Brisham Taya Mahendravaham Gadayora Vikramaha Jagana Kumbha Sthalak Unadan Mridehe Tatkarma Sarve Sampujayam Nipa. O King Parikshit, the powerful Vritsasura, the enemy of King Indra, angrily struck the head of Indra's elephant with that club, making a tumultuous sound on the battlefield. For this heroic deed, the soldiers on both sides glorified him. Eravato Vrita गधाभिमृष्टौ विघूर्णितो कुलीसहतो यथा अपासरद् भिन्नमुखा सहेन्द्रो मुञ्चान् अस्रक् सप्तधनुर्भृशात्रः भृत् भृशार्थः. Struck with the club by Vritsasura, like a mountain struck by a thunderbolt, the elephant Eravat, feeling great pain and spitting blood from its broken mouth, was pushed back 14 yards. In great distress, the elephant fell with Indra on his back. Nasan Vahaya Vishanchetase Prayungta Bhuya Sagada Mahatma Indramritasyani Karambhi Marsha Vita Vyatha Kshatavaho Avatasthe. When he saw Indra's carrier elephant thus fatigued and injured, and when he saw Indra morose because his carrier had been harmed in that way, the great soul Vritsasura, following religious principles, refrained from again striking Indra with the club. Taking this opportunity, Indra touched the elephant with his nectar producing hand, thus relieved the animal's pain and curing its injuries. Then the elephant and Indra both stood silently. Satam nripendra ka kamayaya ripun vajrayudham bhritirhanam vilokayam स्मरंश्च तत्कर्म निशंसन अम्हा शोकेन मोहेन हसन जगाद. O king, when the great hero Vritsasura saw Indra, his enemy, the killer of his brother, standing before him with a thunderbolt in his hand, desiring to fight, Vritsasura remembered how Indra had cruelly killed his brother. Thinking of Hare Krishna, Indra's sinful activities, he became mad with lamentation and forgetfulness. Laughing sarcastically, he spoke as follows. Shri Vrita Uvacha दिष्ट्या भवान् मे समविष्टतो रिपुर् यो ब्रह्मः गुरुः भर्तर्ः च दिष्ट्या नृणो अध्यान् असत्मत्वया मच्छूलनिर्भीन दृष्टा दिदार्चितात्. Shri Vritsasura said, he who has killed a Brahman, he who has killed his spiritual master, indeed, he who has killed my brother is now by good fortune standing before me face to face as my enemy. O most abominable one, when I pierce your stone-like heart with my trident, I shall be freed from my debt to my brother. You know, agrajaya satma vido dvijater gurur apapsya cha dikshitasya विश्राभ्य खड्गेन शिरंसि अवृश्चत् पाशोर्विभाकारुणा स्वर्गकामः. Only for the sake of living in the heavenly planets, you killed my elder brother, a self-realized, sinful, qualified Brahman who had been appointed your chief priest. He was your spiritual master, but although you entrusted him with performance of your sacrifice, you later mercilessly severed his heads from his body the way one butchers an animal. Krishna. Shrihi daya kirtibhir ujjitam tvam swakarmana purushadas chagarhyam krichena machula vibhinna deham aprashtavahim vahanim समादंति गृध रहा. Indra, you are bereft of all shame, mercy, glory, and good fortune. Deprived of these good qualities by the reactions of your fruitive activities, you are to be condemned even by the man-eaters, Rakshasas. Now I shall pierce your body with my trident, and after you die with great pain, even fire will not touch you, only the vultures will eat your body. Hare Krishna. अन्ये अनुयो द्वे नृशंसम् अग्ना यद् उद्यता अस्त्रः प्रहरन्ति मह्यं तैर्भूतनाथन् सगना निशात् त्रिशूलतिर्भिन्न गलेर्यजामि. You are naturally cruel. If the other demigods, unaware of my prowess, follow you by attacking me with their raised weapons, I shall sever their heads with this sharp trident. With those heads I shall perform a sacrifice to Bhairav and the other leaders of the ghosts along with their hordes. Wow. Atho harer me kulishena veera hartha pramatheva ashiro yadhiha तत्रार्णो भूता बलिं विद्ययः मनस्विनां पादरजा प्रपत्स्ये. Okay, Venkat Narasimha Prabhuji, Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी. अधोहरे में कुलिशेन वेरा हत्ता प्रमज्यैव शिरो यदीन तत्र नृणो भूतबलिं विदाय मनस्विनां पादरजः प्रपच्ये। हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
Thank you. Madhumay Krishnakanta Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अथो हरे मे कुलिशेन वीर हर्ता प्रमत्यैव शिरो यदीह तत्रानृणो भूतबलिं विदाय मनस्विनां पादरजः प्रपत्स्ये। थैंक यू माताजी। हरे कृष्ण।
Krishna. Shubha Rao Prabhuji. Hey Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अथो हरे मे कुलशेन वीरा हर्ता प्रमथ्यैव शिरो यदीह तत्रानुणो भूतबलिं विधाय मनस्विनां पादरज प्रपत्स्ये। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Chitra Moini Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अतो हरे मे कुलिशेन वीरा हर्ता प्रमत्तैव शिरो यदीह तत्र ऋणो भूतबलिं विधाय मनस्विना पादरज प्रपस्ये। हरे कृष्ण माताजी। थैंक यू माताजी।
Thank you. Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण मद्दंडवत प्रणाम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अधो हरे मे कुलिसेन वीर हर्ता प्रमथैव शिरो यदीह तत्र नृणो भूतबलिं विधेय मनस्विनां पादरजः प्रपस्ये। धन्यवाद प्रभु।
Thank you.
हरे कृष्ण।
Revti Nangi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अन्ये अनुहेत्वः निरुशंसम् आज्ञां यद्उद्यदास्तरः बृहन्ति मह्यं तैर्बोधनादान्
Mataji,
सकना। हरे
Mataji, what verse are you reading?
सॉरी माताजी 18 should I read माताजी? हरे कृष्ण माताजी 18 should I read माताजी ना?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Hare Krishna.
हरे हरे कृष्ण माताजी सॉरी माताजी। अतो हरे मे कुलशीन वीरा हर्ता प्रमत एव शिरो यतिह तत्रानुरुणो भूतो बलिं विदाय मनस्विनां बादरजः प्रबद्धश्री। हरे कृष्ण माताजी सॉरी सॉरी माताजी।
No,
थैंक यू वेरी
thank you, Hare Krishna. Pranandini Madhavi Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी प्रणाम माताजी।
Hare
ओम
Krishna.
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अथो हरे मे कुलिसेन वीरः हर्ता प्रमत्येव शिरो यदीह तत्रानुडभूता बलिं विधाय मनस्विनं पादरजः प्रपत्स्ये। हरे कृष्ण माताजी। थैंक यू
Thank
माताजी।
you. Madhusoni Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी दंडवत प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अथो हरे मे कुलिशेन वीर हर्ता प्रमथ्यैव शिरो यदीः तत्रा नृणो भूतबलिं विधाय मनस्विनां प्रादरजः प्रपश्ये। थैंक यू माताजी। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Usha Devati Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अतो हरे मे कुलसेन वीरा हर्ता प्रमत्यैव शिरो यदीह तत्रारुणो बहुत बलिं विधाय मनस्विना पादरजा प्रपत्स्ये। थैंक यू माताजी। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Uttama Padma Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अतो हरे मे कुलिशेन वीरा हत्ता प्रमत्तैव शिरो यदीह तत्तानृणो भूतबलिं विदाय मनस्विनां पादरज प्रपत्से। हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Atho, otherwise, Hare, O King Indra, may of me, Kulishena, by your thunderbolt. Veer, O great hero, Harta, you cut off Pramathya, destroying my army. Eva, certainly, Shira, head, Yadi, if Iha in this battle, Tatra in that case, Anranaha, relieved of all debts in this material world, Bhuta Balim, a presentation for all living entities, Vidhai, arranging Manasvinam of great sages like Narad Muni, Padaraja, the dust of the lotus feet, Prapatsya, I shall achieve. Translation by Shravara Pashabad ki jai. But if in this battle you cut off my head with your thunderbolt and kill my soldiers, O Indra, O great hero, I shall take great pleasure in offering my body to other living entities, such as jackals and vultures. I shall thus be relieved of my obligations to the reactions of my karma, and my fortune will be to receive the dust from the lotus feet of great devotees like Narad Muni. Puppet by Shravara Pashabad ki jai. Shri Narottam Das Thakur sings, E Chaya Goshani Yar Mai Tar Das Tan Sabhara Pad Renu Mora Panchagras. I am the servant of the six Goswamis, and the dust of their lotus feet provides my 5 kinds of food. A Vaishnava always desires the dust of the lotus feet of previous acharyas and Vaishnavas. Vrisasura was certain that he would be killed in the battle with Indra, because this was the desire of Lord Vishnu. He was prepared for death because he knew that after his death he was destined to return home back to Godhead. This is a great destination, and it is achieved by the grace of a Vaishnav. Chhadiya Vaishnav Seva Nishtar Paye Keva. No one has ever gone back to Godhead without being favored by a Vaishnava. In this verse, therefore, we find words Manasvinam Padaraja Prapatsye. I shall receive the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees. The word Manasvinam refers to great devotees who always think of Krishna. They are always peaceful, thinking of Krishna, and therefore they are called Dhira. The best example of such a devotee is Narad Muni. If one receives the dust of the lotus feet of a Manasvi, a great devotee, he certainly returns home back to Godhead. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्. हे कृष्ण करुण सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. नमामि विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नाम्ने. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Okay, let's revise these verses. This is like reading a story, right? Shri Sukdev Goswami said, Vritsasura, the angry and most powerful hero, terrified the demigods with his stout and strongly built body. When he roared with a resounding voice, nearly all living entities fainted. All the demigods heard Vritsasura's tumultuous roar, which resembled that of a lion. They fainted and fell to the ground as if struck by thunderbolts. As the demigods closed their eyes in fear, Vritsasura, taking up his trident and making the earth tremble with his great strength, trampled the demigods beneath his feet on the battlefield, the way a mad elephant tramples hollow bamboos in the forest. Seeing Vritsasura's disposition, Indra, the king of heaven, became intolerant and threw at him one of his great clubs, which are extremely difficult to counteract. However, as the club flew toward him, Vritsasura easily caught it with his left hand. O King Parikshit, the powerful Vritsasura, the enemy of King Indra, angrily struck the head of Indra's elephant with that club, making a tumultuous sound on the battlefield. For this heroic deed, the soldiers on both sides glorified him. Struck with the club by Vritsasura like a mountain struck by a thunderbolt, the elephant Airavat, feeling great pain and spitting blood from his broken mouth, was pushed back 14 yards. In great distress, the elephant fell with Indra on its back. When he saw Indra's carrier elephant thus fatigued and injured, and when he saw Indra morose because his carrier had been harmed in that way, the great soul Vritsasura, following religious principles, refrained from again striking Indra with the club. Taking this opportunity, Indra touched the elephant with his nectar-producing hand, thus relieving the animal's pain and curing its injuries. Thus the elephant and Indra both stood silently. O king, when the great hero Vitsasura saw Indra, his enemy, the killer of his brother, standing before him with a thunderbolt in his hand, desiring to fight, Vitsasura remembered how Indra had cruelly killed his brother. Thinking of Indra's sinful activities, he became mad with lamentation and forgetfulness. Laughing sarcastically, he spoke as follows. Shri Vritsasura said, "He who has killed a Brahman, he has killed his spiritual master. Indeed, who has killed my brother is now by good fortune standing before me face to face as my enemy. O most abominable one, when I pierce your stone-like heart with my trident, I shall be freed from my debt to my brother. Only for the sake of living in the heavenly planets, you killed my elder brother, a self-realized, sinful, qualified Brahmin who had been appointed your chief priest. He was your spiritual master, but although you entrusted him with the performance of your sacrifice, you later mercilessly severed his head from his body the way one butchers an animal. Indra, you are bereft of all shame, mercy, glory, and good fortune. Deprived of these good qualities by the reactions of your fruitive activities, you are to be condemned even by the man-eaters, Rakshasas. Now I shall pierce your body with my trident, and after you die with great pain, even fire will not touch you, only the vultures will eat your body. You are naturally cruel. If the other demigods, unaware of my prowess, follow you by attacking me with raised weapons, I shall sever their heads with this sharp trident. With those heads, I shall perform a sacrifice to Bhairav and the other leaders of ghosts along with their hordes. But if in this battle you cut off my head with your thunderbolt and kill my soldiers, O Indra, O great hero, I shall take great pleasure in offering my body to other living entities, such as jackals and vultures. I shall thus be relieved of my obligations to the reactions of my karma, and my fortune will be to receive the dust from the lotus feet of great devotees like Narad Muni. All right, so we are really reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, which is called as the prescribed duties for the mankind, chapter number 11, which is called as the
Transcendental qualities of Vritrasura.
very nice. So interesting. The chapter is named by Prabhupada as the transcendental qualities of Vritsasura, even though he is appearing as an asura with transcendental qualities. You see, the devotees come in all packages, all forms, all shapes. So we are learning how to identify a devotee irrespective of how they are appearing externally. So the event here is that the demigods have shown a lot of strength to the demons, and because of that, the demons have been overtaken by fear, and they have basically fled from the ground of the battlefield. Vritsasura tried to rebuke both the demigods and demons because the demigods were attacking the demons from the back even while they were running, and the demons were running and leaving the battlefield. And then after that, the Vritsasura, Vritsasura is now ready to fight alone because he's going to follow the religious principles. He's fixed in his conviction. Plus, the reason for him to be born was to fight with Indra, right? That was his whole thing. So in that way, we can see that Vritsasura is standing true to his conviction. Here, we can see that how Vritsasura has very strongly and stoutly faced the demigods in the war, and is also trying to not run away. So confidence is so important. Okay, he knows, Prabhupada has disclosed in the purport to chapter 2 verse 18 that he knows that he's going to lose the war. He knows he's going to die because he knows that that's what Lord Vishnu desires. Now, one way of looking at this pastime is that if he already knows that he's going to die, then why even try? Why even try to fight and trample the demigods and rebuke Indra and speak so harshly as he spoke that you will die and even the fire will not touch your body. Vultures and jackals will eat it. Why? What is the need? If he already knows Vishnu desires him to die, Why does he have to do all this fighting? Yes. Always remember, when we read Shastras, there's an external reason, there's an internal reason. Yep. What is the reason? You can raise your hand. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji, you are audible. The external reason, maybe he has to wage the war, Mataji. So
He has to. But
wage the war.
Mataji,
He is heading the demon, and then he cannot go back actually. So,
okay.
but
And the internal reason?
internal reason is accepting the Supreme Lord's verdict, Mataji. That's what I am thinking, Mataji. That means he will be killed certainly by as per the will of the Lord. So that is accepting because he is a devotee. I
Okay.
don't know that is the right thing.
Thank you. Pranandini Madhavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Because he
Mhm.
was actually he was born to as the enemy of Indra. And he went to fight, and external reason is he's fighting for that, and as his duty also. And as enemy, he is rebuking them and the demigods.
Mm.
And internal reason is actually Mataji told that he wants to accept the will of the Lord, and maybe we want so that we want her to glorify him and his qualities, Mataji. I'm thinking like that, Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Hare
Krishna. Yeah, so see, the externally he is going to follow the. Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mata, same thing. External reason, he is a warrior, so he has to fight. Second is internal reason is that he want to accept the verdict of Vishnu. He knows that the Devatas are blessed by the Vishnu, so they are fighting. He anyhow death is inevitable, but he doesn't want to go against the will of the Vishnu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, my initial question was that if he already knows that X Prabhupada is revealing in purport to chapter to verse 18 that he is going to lose this war because that's what Lord Vishnu desires. My question is that why is he even attempting to fight the war? Because he's a devotee, he knows the desire of the Lord. So why not just, lay the body like that and let Indra take over? So the reason is externally, yes, it is say that even if we know that we are going to lose the war, we are still going to put up the show because that is the right thing to do. That is the um, verdict of a Kshatriya. That's the function of a Kshatriya. And we don't run away. We study the same thing in Bhagavad Gita, in first chapter Bhagavad Gita, when Duryodhan goes to Bhishma Dev and he's asking, there's this word, I think it's verse 31, if I recall, that the Duryodhan is asking Bhishma Dev and glorifying that how Bhishma Dev is his commander-in-chief and the other party commander-in-chief is Bhima. So how glorious it is, and I'm very well protected by the power of Bhima or Bhishma Dev. So Bhishma Dev at that moment smiles and blows his conch shell to give some sort of support and solace to the heart of Duryodhan. But the acharyas have commented, right, that why Bhishma Dev is smiling, because he knows that there's no way we're going to win this war. But nevertheless, to show his support to Duryodhan, he is blowing the conch shell. So similarly, we learned that these small, subtle things, the subtleties, that Vritsasura is going to fight because that is the right thing to do. He's not going to just give in. And the internal reason is why is he going to do? Because it is going to give him the opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness. He's going to tell that Indra, he's already started doing that. Indra, you are winning this war just because you have been given the mercy of Lord Vishnu, but the intention is to the desire to enjoy the heavenly kingdoms. Even Indra is going to be shocked, right? When he'll start speaking, it will come. So internal reason, as we understand, is that because he will be given this opportunity, he's going to avail this opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness. to give pure devotional service to Indra, to actually bring him back to his senses. That what are you doing? What are you doing? But here we see that there are like waves of emotions of Ritsasura. Somewhere he appears. Yeah, do you feel that somewhere he appears that okay, he's showing up a very strong face and he's following the religious principles, and that way he is ready to fight the war alone. But then he is overtaken by lamentation and grief because of the death of his brother Vishwarup, and then he's kind of trying to curse Indra that you're going to die like this. But then he comes back to the constitution of being like, okay, even if I lose this war, I will be very happy to offer my body in the service of the living entities. And because I'm Asura, I'm gonna leave this body. Because of the mercy of the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, I will go back to Godhead. It's because my karma in this body will be over if I die here because of your bolts. So we are seeing that he's going waxing and waning, waxing and waning, waxing and waning. So what are we understanding out of it? What are we understanding out of it? We don't study that when a pure devotee speaks, like when Prabhupada was speaking, he's ever like overcome by the emotion to his family member. So is he really waxing and waning? What is happening? Am I making sense? Are you understanding what I'm asking, or is this not making
Yes.
any sense?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Actually, one thing which is occurring in my mind is, see how merciful Lord is and how beautiful our scriptures are, which has not differentiated between the demons and devotees if they are value laden. Means we are giving value to each and every values in the humans or it is in the demons. And so beautifully the things are being explained. I'm really happy to hear this. So happy. Hare Krishna.
All right, thank you. So if it is making sense what I'm asking, then what is the reply? No, if it's a pure devotee, like steady platform, like Sithadir Muni. Arjuna asked this to Krishna in second chapter. How does Sithadir Muni, what are his symptoms? How does he talk? How does he sit? And how does he walk? Right? These are the questions he asked. So nowhere Krishna says that he is like going, his senses are going here and they're attached here and there. Yes. What are we understanding? Am I making sense? Because if you don't tell me, I will not know. I'm not Antaryami. Am I making sense? Or no, not making sense?
You are making sense, Mataji. We are just thinking.
Actually.
Okay. You see, the thing is that he is lamenting the death of Vishwarup, who he has addressed as who? He has addressed Vishwarup as who?
Spiritual master, Mataji. They are spiritual master.
More than that. Yes, spiritual master, yes. What else? My elder brother, self-realized, sinless, qualified Brahman, who was appointed your chief priest, your spiritual master, performance of your sacrifice. So it may sound like he's guilt tripping, but he's making it clear that he is standing in defense for a self-realized, sinless, qualified Brahmana. Okay, we understand that Vishwarup was not a pure devotee, but Vishwarup was qualified. Because remember, who sent Indra to Vishwarup? Who told Indra go to Vishwarupa?
Brahma kada, I think.
Very nice. And
Lord
Brahma,
Brahma, yes.
very nice. So Brahma is a devotee. Our Brahma is a devotee of Krishna, the one that they're ruling us. So one of the Mahajanas, right?
Yes.
So that way, he's making it clear that he's not lamenting the death of, like, for example, when we read, can you give me one more example from the Shastras where the brother was killed and the elder brother went crazy and started killing everybody who.
Dhruv Maharaj. Dhruv Maharaj.
Dhruv Maharaj.
Yes. So
Hiranyakashipu Mataji.
Yaksha killed his younger brother, and Dhruva Maharaj went crazy and started killing the whole dynasty of the Yakshas. There he was intervened that, you know, you're not doing the right thing. So he's not overtaken by that kind of attachment. Of course, Krishna corrected there too. Over here, the thing is that he's fighting in defense for a qualified sinless Brahmin who was acting as a spiritual master and doing sacrifice to on behalf of Indra. So he's made it very clear, okay? Understand the fine lines. Because a materialist person and a devotee might appear to be doing the same activities, but there is a gulf of difference in why and how are they doing. There's a gulf of difference in the consciousness and the driving factor that makes them do what they do. Okay, so it's very important that we are reading that, understand how is he transcendental, because he's talking like a commoner, you know, he's talking like now he's overtaken by grief and lamentation, and he's saying, I'm gonna behead you guys and I'm gonna offer your heads in sacrifice to Bhairav. Like, oh my God, that may sound like ordinary conversation of an ordinary karmi who is attached to the bodily relationships, but that's not the case. Okay, so understand that Vritsasura is transcendental in all domains. Understand the external and the internal reasons as to why Vritsasura is, despite of knowing the reason that despite of knowing the fact that he will be killed by Indra's thunderbolt, he is still showing up the brave face. Externally, because it is the verdict of the Kshatriya. Internally, because he does not want to lose this opportunity to preach to Krishna, to Indra. He's going to start speaking from the perspective of a pure devotee of Krishna. A pure devotee of Krishna is not scared to lose or scared to die. They're only scared to forget their ability to preach and remember Krishna. That is the only fear. That's what we read from the Shastras. They don't have any other fear. There's nothing that's concerning them or keeping them entangled in the material world. The only thing that keeps them worry is that I may forget Krishna any moment. I don't want to do that. We don't read that how demons are running or demigods are getting scared because of his uproaring like a lion, and we don't hear that he's worried or he's scared of dying. So behold those qualities and understand the pure devotee who has come in the form of a demon now. Any questions, reflections,